It started with a knock on my door at 7:30 a.m. sharp, just as I was pouring my first cup of coffee. Peeking through the blinds, I saw her, Mrs. Linda Cartwright, the HOA president herself, carrying the kind of frown that could curdle milk. She wasn't alone. Trailing behind her was a man in uniform, his posture stiff and authoritative. My heart skipped a beat, but not for the reason she probably thought. Linda Cartwright, Karen incarnate, had made it her personal mission to control the neighborhood pool keys. And apparently, today, she'd decided to escalate things. "Good morning, Mr. Green," she said, her tone saccharine yet sharp. "I'm here for the pool keys, and Officer Cartwright here will be assisting me." Ah, yes, her husband, Officer Cartwright. I had heard enough neighborhood gossip to know that this was her muscle, but I hadn't expected a full-scale HOA invasion. I smiled faintly. "I see. Well, can I ask why this is urgent?" Linda's lips thinned. "It's overdue. The HOA has rules. You haven't turned in your pool keys after last month's inspection. Officer Cartwright is just here to make sure you comply peacefully." Comply peacefully. Funny. I leaned against the doorway, my FBI badge hidden beneath my shirt. My mind racing. They had no idea. No clue that I wasn't just some quiet homeowner with a backyard pool. I was undercover, deep in an operation tracking a neighborhood crime syndicate laundering money through real estate deals. Deals that Linda's HOA had unknowingly been part of. And right now, they were trying to strong-arm me into handing over a simple set of keys. Officer Cartwright stepped forward, his tone polite but firm. "Sir, ma'am," he said, glancing at Linda for approval, "we just want to make sure everything is returned." There was a hesitancy in his voice, a sign he hadn't expected resistance. I smiled very slowly and invited them inside. "Why don't we sit? Let's talk about this." Inside, I reached for the pool keys, but not to give them away. Instead, I subtly activated a small recording device I carried in my pocket. Every word, every step they took would now be evidence. Linda's expression shifted from smug satisfaction to mild suspicion. "Is there a problem?" she asked, trying to mask her irritation. "No problem at all," I replied smoothly. "Just curious why my pool keys are suddenly the center of such a serious operation." Her eyes narrowed. "Serious? This is the HOA, not some FBI investigation." I chuckled softly, hiding my inner thrill. They had no idea that, yes, this was exactly the kind of investigation I handled, and now they had walked right into it. It was going to be a long morning. I could feel Linda's eyes on me like laser beams, scanning for any hint of defiance. Officer Cartwright, on the other hand, seemed slightly uncomfortable, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. The perfect storm of a controlling HOA wife and a husband caught between duty and marriage. I couldn't help but smirk under my calm exterior. "Sir?" Linda began, leaning in slightly. "I think we both know that refusing to hand over the keys can lead to consequences. The HOA can impose fines, restrict pool access, even take legal action." Her words dripped with confidence, like a predator sizing up prey. I nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, I'm aware of HOA policies, but rules are one thing. Intimidation is another. And I have to say, it feels a little extreme to involve law enforcement over a set of pool keys." Linda's jaw tightened. "This isn't about intimidation. It's about enforcement. And Officer Cartwright is just assisting." She cast him a pointed glance, one that screamed, "Do your job." He cleared his throat, a bead of sweat forming at his temple. "I'm just here to facilitate a peaceful exchange, ma'am." His voice lacked conviction. I suspected he wasn't thrilled about being dragged into HOA politics. Good. That gave me leverage. I leaned back, pretending to consider my options. "Peaceful exchange," I repeated. "Interesting choice of words. Officer, I deal in investigations every day. Undercover operations, surveillance, arrests, that sort of thing. And I can tell you, Peace usually involves mutual respect, not threats. Linda froze. There was a flicker of doubt in her eyes, but she masked it quickly. Excuse me? I smiled innocently, as though I were speaking hypothetically. I mean, think about it. If someone barged into your home demanding something you weren't ready to give, and they brought the law with them, wouldn't you question their approach? Officer Cartwright looked at me strangely, as if realizing something didn't add up. He hesitated, his hands twitching slightly. Linda caught his pause. Don't think about this like a game. It's serious. Exactly, I said softly, leaning forward. Serious? Which is why I need to know, does the HOA have any idea what their actions could look like from an investigative perspective? Because right now, all I see are people overstepping their boundaries. Linda opened her mouth, then closed it, caught in that uncomfortable silence where confidence meets doubt. I could see her mind racing, recalculating, trying to control a situation she suddenly realized wasn't entirely under her power. And that's when I decided it was time to up the ante. Not by revealing my badge, yet, but by making them feel the uncertainty, the subtle threat that they had walked into a house where rules were enforced differently. I reached for my coffee, keeping my eyes locked on hers. Let's not rush, I said casually. We'll figure this out. Together. Inside, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Outside, the neighborhood sun shone innocently. But behind these walls, a game had begun. A game Linda had no idea she was losing. For the next few minutes, the room was thick with silence. Linda's fingers drummed impatiently on her clipboard, while Officer Cartwright stared at the carpet like it held the answers. I sipped my coffee slowly, savoring the calm before the storm. To them, I was just a stubborn homeowner. To me, they were walking right into a trap I'd been preparing for months. I think we're wasting time here, Linda finally snapped, her voice sharper than before. I came for the pool keys, that's it. Hand them over, please. I smiled faintly, letting the words hang in the air. You really want me to hand them over? Without understanding the bigger picture? Her eyes narrowed. What bigger picture? I set my mug down deliberately, my hand brushing over the hidden FBI badge beneath my shirt. They couldn't see it, but I could feel its weight, a symbol of authority far beyond HOA bylaws. You see, I began, sometimes there's more going on than meets the eye. People think rules are rules, but when you bring law enforcement into a neighborhood dispute, things get complicated. Officer Cartwright shifted uncomfortably, glancing at his wife. His silence was telling. I knew that look. It was the look of someone who realized that the lines between personal loyalty and professional duty were starting to blur. You're threatening me now? Linda said, trying to mask her fear with anger. Not at all, I replied, my tone calm, almost conversational. I'm simply providing context. Think of it as a friendly warning. You're dealing with someone who knows how investigations work, someone who can track actions, record evidence, and analyze motives. And right now, your approach to this pool key situation looks questionable. Her breath caught, and I could see the panic flicker behind her mask of composure. Officer Cartwright's jaw tightened, and he swallowed. Linda's carefully constructed authority was cracking, and I could smell the uncertainty like a perfume. You, she started, then faltered. You mean to tell me you're... I raised a single eyebrow, letting the silence fill in the blanks. Let's just say I have access to resources that make HOA fines look trivial. For the first time, Officer Cartwright seemed to relax, not in submission, but in relief. He finally spoke, voice low. Maybe we should step back, Linda. Think about this. Linda's glare shifted from me to her husband, a flicker of rage and disbelief crossing her face. We don't have to take this. I'm the HOA president, and I'm an FBI agent undercover, I interrupted softly, finally revealing the truth, though only partially. I didn't need to flash my badge fully yet. Let's keep this civil. It's safer for all of us. The room went quiet again. Linda's shoulders tensed. Officer Cartwright exhaled sharply, like a man realizing he was caught in the middle of a storm he hadn't seen coming. In that instant, I knew I had gained the upper hand. Not through threats, not through force, but through leverage and controlled revelation. The HOA queen thought she was running the show. In reality, she had just walked into my office, and the game had shifted entirely. Linda froze, her eyes darting between her husband and me. For the first time, the air of authority she carried so confidently was gone, replaced by pure uncertainty. Officer Cartwright shifted awkwardly, clearly realizing his muscle role had just been neutralized. I don't understand, Linda stammered, trying to regain control. This is ridiculous. You can't just... I held up a hand, cutting her off with calm precision. Linda, it's not ridiculous. It's reality. I operate in a world where people overstep boundaries, break rules, or worse, put themselves in situations without realizing the consequences. And right now, your actions, sending your husband here to demand pool keys, fall squarely into that category. Her face flushed red, a mix of anger and panic. I'm the HOA president. Officer Cartwright is just... Yes, I understand, I said, leaning slightly forward, voice steady. But this isn't an HOA dispute anymore. You brought law enforcement into my home under false pretenses. And that's where it gets... complicated. Cartwright cleared his throat, finally speaking up. Linda, maybe we should go. I think he's making a good point. His eyes met mine briefly, and I saw the relief there. He wasn't on her side anymore. He was realizing she had dragged him into a fight he didn't belong in. Linda spun on him, disbelief and fury mixing in her expression. You're siding with him, she demanded. I'm siding with reason, he replied evenly. And right now, reason is telling me this isn't worth it. I took a slow breath, savoring the victory without gloating. So here's what happens, I said. No keys exchanged, no fines issued, no more threats. You walk out of here and we all move on. You maintain your HOA authority, in theory. I maintain mine, in reality. Linda hesitated, then glared at me one last time before storming toward the door. Cartwright followed, silent but relieved. As they disappeared down the driveway, I closed the door and leaned against it, exhaling slowly. The tension melted away, replaced by the quiet thrill of having navigated a dangerous encounter without anyone getting hurt, and without revealing everything. They had no idea the operation I was running went far deeper than neighborhood pool disputes. In fact, I now had evidence of their overreach, which might come in handy later. I walked over to the pool keys, picked them up, and smiled to myself. They were mine, symbolically at least. Linda had underestimated me, overestimated her control, and walked right into a situation she couldn't dominate. And the best part? She had no idea just how deep I really was. For a moment, the backyard was peaceful. Sunlight glittered across the water, birds chirped lazily, and the quiet hum of the neighborhood resumed. But I knew this wasn't the end. Not really. After all, when an HOA queen tries to play cop, sometimes the real law steps in, and the game is never just about pool keys. Enjoying this wild HOA showdown? Hit that subscribe button to catch more crazy real-life stories and undercover adventures. If you like the twist with the FBI reveal, give this a like and drop a comment below. What would you do if your HOA sent the cops after your pool keys?